Welcome to Vertical Football, and this is the Blue Box. This is a show where we talk all things Chelsea. Yeah, and in this one, we are bringing to you, I target a clarification of the news. Yeah, in the sense that we have gotten the news about Chelsea bridging Premier League transfer policy. And the reason why I'm doing this now is we're going through the social media space, going through the news, most especially in the Nigerian space, is we have been getting misinformation year and year, most especially from two parts. Firstly, what Chelsea did. At one point, I was even hearing somebody say Chelsea was sanctioned for match fixing. That's not even the point, but that is false. We need to be careful of the kind of information that we get. And secondly, people are explaining wrongly what the sanction actually are, what the penalty actually is. Yeah. So firstly, we are going to address what we did, and secondly, we are going to explain the penalty that Chelsea got. Yeah. So guys, thank you very much for sticking with us. This is brought to you by Vertical Football. Please stick with us as we go through this. Yeah. So firstly, let's address what we actually did. So we broke the transfer policy for the Premier League. I think it affected the UEFA and also the FA. But this sanction, we have actually gone through the UEFA one. We were fined 10 million and then we were cleared of it. Now the Premier League has brought up their own, and now we're fined 10 million and some other sanctions also, some other penalties also. So what actually did we do? It's two things. Firstly, it's inconsistency in the book from 2011 to 2018, which has to do with two things. Firstly, unregistered agents and third-party entities. We are going to explain that. And secondly, what did we do? We broke the academy policy. We broke the rule for the academy policy for the Premier League. Yeah. So let's explain this first part, the inconsistency in the book, and it has to do with unregistered agents and third-party entities. Now, let's talk about the unregistered agents. So how did Chelsea fail when it comes to the unregistered agents? What happened is when Chelsea was making transfers to get some players, to get a transfer advantage over a player, over other clubs, to get an advantage to sign a player over other clubs, we indulged in paying fees to unregistered agents so that they can influence the decision of that player to sign for our club. So it's basically like Chelsea's trying to sign player X, is cost 20 million. The agent fee is 5 million. That's 25 million. We make that outright payment, or we make that proposal. Then we now go on to look for agents that are around that guy, and then we pay them tips here and there to make sure that they are influencing the decision of that person to be able to sign for our club, which gives us advantage in the transfer window over other clubs who are actually going for that player. So that's the problem. That's the breach that we did when it comes to unregistered agents. And those ones, because you are doing it like a tip, like a stipend and a gift, you are not going to be registering it in the book. But it is a transfer that actually happened. It is something that happened, but you are not going to be putting it in the book. So we have broken a law. We are making payments that is not reflecting in the book. That's what happened with the unregistered agents. And now talking about the third party entity, let's make it like 4 different entities. There is player X, there is agent X, there is Chelsea, and there is a third-party agent. Now, this is what happened. Chelsea wants to sign player X. Player X is cost 40 million. The agent fee is cost 5 million. So Chelsea goes into this transfer, makes 40 million payment for this player. We have agreed and we make 40 million for player X. And now, to pay his agent fee, as when you're making transfer, you are supposed to be paying from the club's account so that you'll be able to record this thing. Now, what Chelsea does is, because we have a third-party agent, which is in affiliation to Roman Abramovich, to put a context to it, Roman Abramovich, because this happened between 2011 and 2018, it was the Roman Abramovich-era. So there is a third-party agent which is an affiliation, or we can also say controlled by Roman Abramovich. Now, is using this third-party agent to pay the agent fee. So what happens is Chelsea is taking 40 million out of their own bank and paying to buy this guy from the club wherever he is. When we are recording the book, we are only going to be recording 40 million. That is what the Premier League will see. That is what UEFA will see. That is what the FA will see. Chelsea bought this player X for 40 million. But actually, the real truth is we bought him for 45 million, but we just paid with Party X the agent fee, which is 5 million. So this 5 million that went from Party X to Agent X, it is not going to be seen. And for the fact that it is not seen, it is not going to be registered in the book. So we can avoid something like PSR, we can avoid something like FFP, in the sense that we bought this guy for 45 million in the actual total fee that we spent, but what we registered was 40 million. And when they come into the Chelsea's accounts to do an audit, they will actually see that it is 40 million that we bought this guy, which is not the truth, that we were hiding something by using a third-party agent to make payments for that so that we can deflate the price of what we bought this guy. And it happened in a whole lot of transfer. I heard there was for Willian, there was for Eden Hazard, Samuel Eto'o, David Luiz, Nemanja Matic, and the likes, and the Shola, the likes, and the likes like that. But you have to know that the players are innocent, the agents are innocent. It is Chelsea that just went on to use a third party to make payments. So that third-party payment was not going to be registered in the book. Now, what actually happened? How did the Premier League know? Chelsea, when Bluco bought the club, they self-reported this issue. Oh, we have seen some inconsistencies in our book. We saw that there was some funds that was made to this particular person, maybe by receipt or something. Oh, and these people are unregistered agents, and there are some money that involved the transfer of this so and so players, but it was not paid through Chelsea, but it was paid through a third party agent. So that's basically what happened. And speaking about the academy part, we broke the academy transfer policy in the sense that we started getting in touch with players who we were not eligible to get in touch with. We didn't have license, we didn't have the go ahead to speak to this player. We started, I think it was 3 bridges. We let me read it out. I have the report here. It says the sanction agreement set out contacts that was made with amortized academy player prior to the permitted time, including a FaceTime call with player A and member of his family, during which player A was told Chelsea were interested in him. You are not supposed to be doing that. He is not your player. Why are you going to go and do that? Secondly, player B visiting Chelsea training ground and receiving a presentation about the club's academy and its plans for him. So it's like you are influencing the mind of a player. Instead of him sitting down and getting an option to choose from here, you are using, because he's still a kid, you are using things to like entice him, show him this, show him that. Because he's a kid, you can influence his mind, which is something that the Premier League guides against. And thirdly, he said it was arranged for personalized merchandise with the name and playing number of player C to be delivered to the training ground for the player, his parents, and his sisters. So we were breaking the protocols of the academy, reaching out to players who we were not supposed to reach out to, who we didn't have the license and the particular frame of time to reach out to. And we were doing a whole lot of things to entice these players to join our club. So that was the problem with the academy. And the sanction for the academy was pretty straightforward. 9 months ban, and a 9 months ban with immediate effect. As soon as they were making the ruling, 9 months ban, you can't sign any player. And let's break that down. We can still sign players, but we cannot sign any player who has been registered to any club in England. So when a player has already signed for a club in either the Premier League or the Championship, you cannot sign such a player for the next 9 months. But you can go to Europe, you can go and bring player in, you can sign a player that does not have a contract with any club. He's not signed to Arsenal, he's just playing on the streets, or he's just going to some academy to play. But if he is signed to any club, you cannot talk to any players like that. You cannot bring them into the club. So that's the sanction for the next 9 months. And also plus a £750,000 £750,000 fine, in addition to the 9 month sanction for not being able to sign player. And now, what is the penalty for the senior team? Now, that's where the dicey thing is. The penalty for the senior team, in the sense of this transfer policy that we have broken, is a 1-year ban suspended for 2 years. Now, what does that mean? I'll explain that in like a layman term so that we can understand. This is basically telling us that Chelsea has been handed a 1-year ban. But due to the fact that we self-reported this situation, we showed our hands out. Like, it's not like we wanted to cheat. We saw that the old tenure has cheated. Now we are coming out to tell you that this is what is going on in the club. So they took that that 1-year ban, and they said, all right, we are going to be hanging this 1-year ban on the shelf for the next 2 years. You have to make sure that you are in your best behavior in the transfer window. You cannot do anything manipulative. You cannot cheat. You cannot speak to minor. You cannot be paying unregistered agents. You cannot be using third-party agencies. You cannot be doing anything that breaks the transfer policy of the Premier League. And if you can do that and make sure you stay clean for the next 2 years, that 1-year ban will be lifted. So that basically means Chelsea can still go on to make transfers. We can still go on to make transfers, buy players, but we have to stay in our best behavior. Else, if we do not stay in our best behavior, or we still go on to break one rule or break one policy, then immediately the 1-year ban is going to be activated. And there is also a tendency for another sanction to be put upon that. So that is basically the penalty for the senior team. Yes, that is the penalty for the senior team. So I believe we should understand that. I think, speaking in layman terms now, it's just like you have a child in your house. Let's put it in a scenario. You have a child in your house. They go into the kitchen and they break maybe a plate. And after maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you didn't notice. Then the child comes out of guilty conscience or something and explains itself. Oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. I didn't mean to break this plate. I didn't mean to do this. And it has eventually happened. Now you see the innocence of this child and you're like, all right, let's do it this way. Because there is a law in this house that you can't break plates. But for the fact that you have come to like report yourself, this is what we will do. You can still keep going into the kitchen, but you have to make sure that you are in your best behavior when you are in the kitchen. You can't eat and not clean up where you have eaten. You can't cook and not clean up everywhere. You can't break any more plates. You can't break any more glasses. You can't lose the spoon. You can't take the knife from the shelf and put it somewhere else. You have to be in your best behavior in the kitchen. If you can do that for the next 2 months, then your 1 month ban, instead of we giving you a straight 1 month ban for the kitchen, we'll just put you in that space of be in your best behavior for the next 2 months, and then we will lift the ban. So that's basically what happened with the penalty. That is the penalty. Chelsea will still go on to sign players, but we must do it in perfect alignment with what the Premier League transfer policy wants. Now, let's speak about transparency, because we have heard a whole lot of people come out to say, is it because they self-reported? That's why you are being lenient with them. That's why you are giving them a 1-year ban and suspended for 2 years, and you're telling them to pay just 10 million. I understand. If I was a rival fan, I would think the same way too. But the point is, the Premier League came out. I think this is an organized setting. For every offense, there is a penalty for it, which is stipulated. They don't look at it and say, oh, I feel like what they have done is bad. Let's give them 100 years of... No, they don't feel. It is down there already. It is a law. It has been written. They just need to look at what you have done. What is the penalty for it? And they hand it out. So the Premier League said in their word, paraphrasing now, that they should have gone for a 2 years straight ban, which is immediate effect, and also a 20 million fine for Chelsea for what they have done. But because Chelsea came out to self-report, that is why they are being lenient with them. That is why they are going on a solo and looking, okay, this one have proven to be a good child, let's give them the advantage of that. And now I've heard people say deduct points. I've heard people say take away, what's it called? Take away their trophy. I understand where you're coming from, but this is my argument against that. And this is the way I put it. In this period, if we had any player that Chelsea bought out of using these loopholes, not a loopholes, out of using this cheating method, which is we try to like take superior advantage by paying unregistered agents and paying third parties to make payments, and that particular player is still in the club, then I see no reason why they cannot deduct points from our club. But these things happened between 2011 and 2018. So there is no direct correlation from that time till this moment to say, oh, this is this player. You are looking at Cole Palmer. Oh, Cole Palmer was bought with this shady deal and is having effect on them. He's still scoring 10 goals. He's having direct impact on the way Chelsea is performing in this period. So remove their points. There is nothing like that. It has stopped since 2018. It did not even happen 2019, 2020 because Abramovich was still even in the club. So I don't see a reason why they should remove points for something that has happened in those time, and we don't have any player that we bought with that kind of deal that is still currently in the club. So I counter the argument of remove their point and you give sanctions, but you give sanctions that is directly relating to what we have done. If we self-reported this thing and somebody like Eden Hazard was still in the club, Willian was still in the club, then good and fine, remove the points because these guys were still having effect on the club. The people that we bought with those shady deals were still making impact with the club. And speaking about taking the Premier League that we won at those period from us, just does not make no sense. Do you want to become CAF? So you want to take the Champions League and go and give it to who? Give it to Man City? Well, I don't get, like, I'm trying to understand. But guys, I just wanted to bring a clarification to the news about Chelsea breaking the transfer policy of the Premier League, the UEFA and the FA. So guys, thank you very much for sticking with us. I hope my I hope it made clarification to what is on ground. So thank you very much for sticking with us. This is brought to you by Vertical Football, and this is the Blue Box. It is a show where we talk all things Chelsea. Please do well to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done that. So we'll see you some other time. Namaste.